Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the Cyber Gizmo, I'm going to be looking at Solus 4.2 right after this. Solus 4.2 was released a couple of days ago, and so I wanted to go take a look at it. I've looked at Solus in the past, and so I kind of wanted to update a little bit on that. So you can look at some of my older reviews on it. I'll put some links above here for you. But to get started with it, it's really designed for anyone. It's not just for developers or just for people that are doing engineering kind of work, but it's also meant for just casual. You go to the bank, look at the web, talk to your friends, get on a Zoom call, whatever. But that is what it's really meant for. And there's several different flavors of it, like you would expect. I mean, you have packages which are suited for home and office. You have some for developers, of course, and there are others for content creators, whether you're working in audio or you're working in video or you're working in both. And then there's also things that there's applications and pieces that allow you to game on it as well. So, there's not too broad, but it does offer enough that I think is pretty flexible for a lot of different uses. So let's go look at the download. So there's quite a bit here, but I suppose it should start with what's new, right? So there it comes with a lot of we'll sort that out when we get to the download page, I'm sure. Firefox version 85 is on this. They, of course, have updated the kernel to 5.10.12, I believe, and I think the patch level is 171. That's not too far off the current mark. The most current version of the kernel is 5.11, and that's in release candidate status right now. So, yeah, there are some later releases, like I think there's 5.10.14, but that's just patches, right? That's just patches. So LibreOffice now is 7.0.4.2, but you'll see this will get updated when we actually do the updates bringing this in. So they actually have a little bit newer version of that. And Thunderbird 78.6. There's also different media and video playback depending upon which desktop environment you choose. So Budgie, GNOME, and Mate all ship with Rhythmbox for your MP3. So that's your MP3 player. And then Budgie and GNOME use the GNOME MPV. That's for video playback. Mate uses VLC. Of course, I mean, these are the defaults. You can install whatever you want, right? Plasma ships with Elisa for audio and SM Player for video playback. A lot of the things that really come with this release is really support for newer AMD 5th generation hardware. So if you're lucky enough to manage to snag one of the latest Ryzen chips, then this particular release will already have the support that you need for that. Now, it depends on your motherboard, right? I mean, there's other factors in here besides just whether or not you can support the CPU. But anyway, so Budgie is, of course, is their flagship. They have updated this to 10.5.2. There are quite a few things that are in here. The Budgie desktop view, which allows desktop icon implementations in the system. So Nautilus, I guess, is now legacy, and that Nautilus has removed the ability for desktop icons to be supported. So Solus is using an older version of Nautilus in order to continue to use that, but you can't see it on this picture, but you will see it when we go to install it. And then, of course, there is some new features that allow you to more easily tailor the look and feel of the site, tweak it, change it, make different fonts, use different icons, and update the themes to your liking. And, of course, then they have GNOME. This is the version 3.38.3 base. And Mate is based on 1.24. Numbers of bug fixes here, and Brisk menu is 062 for that. Then, of course, you have Plasma, and that looks like 5.20.5. I believe that's pretty close to the latest one that's out. I don't think it's exactly the latest, but it's pretty close. So let's go to the download page where you can actually pick and choose which ones you want. Now you can come to that from here as well. So I'm going to be picking the Solus Budgie, since that is their flagship, and that is the one I have done in the past. So for comparison, I kind of like to stay with that. As far as you might choose to want to use something else, but one of the things you will need to be aware of is the system requirements. So this requires 10 gig of disk space, and you'll need at least 2 gig of RAM for optimal experience. And probably, in all honesty, if you're going to be running some of the more heavyweight applications, now the operating system itself won't take anywhere near 2 gig. But if you are going to be running some of the more heavier applications, and if you're going to have a graphics card involved or play games, of course, you probably want to have enough RAM to support that in a suitable fashion. If you have a 32-bit system, sorry, you're out of luck. Only 64-bit are being supported on this. There are other distros, however, for the 32-bit support, so don't be frustrated by that. So I've already downloaded this, and so that is how you would do it. Then you would put it on a USB stick, probably using Balena or DD if you want to live dangerously. And the next step would be to configure it. Now, one thing, I'm going to be putting this on Proxmox to install it. I was going to do this on hardware today, but my laptop is pretty persnickety and it wouldn't turn on the second display. So without the second display, I'm not able to show you the video of the install. So I'm going to have to do that here. So one of the things I did find with this is, and I've seen this in the past as well, but in the, let's see, yeah, it needs to have a SCSI controller, VMware PBSCI SCSI. And you can select that from the system over here. So you'll need that last one. Now, I don't know if these others work, but I can tell you VirtIO SCSI does not. It does not work. So, and that's the only thing I found so far. And we'll go ahead and get the build out for it coming up here. So we'll create the VM. All right, and we'll start that up. We'll turn on the console. And I think I will bring this down. And we'll stretch this a bit. And then, of course, it's going to pop back. But we can do it again. We can rinse and repeat. Okay. So let me just bring that up just a little bit. And we don't need that. Okay. So I did resize. I noticed that there were some limits on this, so probably not going to get anywhere near those. But I'll go ahead and click the icon to install the operating system. I'll leave links below. If you're not interested in the install, you can skip and we can go right to it. So we'll do that. I'm going to skip over here, find my location. I think I can read a map. One thing is if you are trying to use Proxmox and you are using the standard SCSI controller, this is where you'll find out that your drive will not work because it'll just come up and say, I can't find any hard drives to install this on. And if you using the PV at SCSI, that seems to work fine. I don't need LVM. Give it a host name and install the bootloader. Yep, on the same drive. I'm gonna give it give it a username. What's my real name? And by the way, this is the only distro that got this right because this is the same order that your password file is in. So congratulations to Solus. So this is just a review. If you want to go back and change anything, you can do that by hitting the previous button. These I don't think are hot. No. So I can't go to the part that I want to change. I would have to back up into the, well, maybe I can do it here. Just go back there. So I'm all ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and install. This will not take long. We're at 125. I will pause this and we'll be right back when it's done. And it is done. It just flipped over to 127, so not very long at all. I'm going to go ahead and restart this, and we'll bring it back up. Doesn't seem to care that the CD-ROM is still inserted into the virtual machine, so that's good. The boot order allows it to do that, of course. And then I'm going to try to bring this up a little bit. And we've already got it noticed that there's software updates available. So we will go ahead and do that. just click on it and hit the update selected, and then give it your root password, whatever you chose. So that is done. I need to find a terminal window here, and then I will put on my usual things here. Now the package manager is called EOPKG, and you can do a help. And then it'll show you the commands that are here. So you have the long form of the command, and then you can abbreviate it that. So install would just be IT. If you want to list the available client packages, you can do that. Or if you want to look at the pending or the upgrades, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do an EOPKG, and I'll install my usual. HTOP is not installed, and then I'll put out get and glances as well, asking me to confirm, and this won't take long, but I'll be back. In fact, just as I pushed the button, it was finished. So all right, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot this, and that is to get the updates in and make sure that I've cleaned out memory from all this interaction that I've done. So we'll go ahead and do that. So the first thing I want to do here is, before I get started looking at all the details, is I want to see what kind of a security environment we've got. So I'm gonna well, first, before we do that, let's see what we've got memory wise. So we're at 670 megs, 668, about that. So a lot less than GNOME takes, even though it is based, of course, on the GTK3 library set. It is quite a bit more efficient than GNOME is. And that's a good thing, right? That is a very good. It's still dropping 632 now. So as some of the stuff is timing out of memory. So that's good. Some of the boot up process is leaving. Let's take a look at glances and see what it says. Now with the app cache, it's about 873 meg. You know, that's a lot more than I'm used to seeing, but hey, that's fine. The CPU is about 0.7%. Now I have four cores on this, and so one of them is being hit a little bit heavier, 2.3 on that one. I think that's mostly because of the Budgie window manager and X11. So we can put that away. We should look at how much disk space we're taking. 6.2 gig. That's not bad. And then we do, obviously, we have something in SDA1. So let's go look at that. It should have, yeah, there we go. So we got a swap partition in the first position. That's a little odd placement for it, but this is SSDs and it really doesn't matter. In the old days it would. With rotational media, you want those toward the front and this toward the back, or in the middle, ideally, somewhere in there. You don't want it all the way to the end. You don't want it all the way to the beginning, because the heads have farther to move. So, but anyway, that's not enough for a laptop. So I don't know if it took a formula calculation or not. I'd have to go play around with settings on memory and see if it creates a bigger swap. That is fine for, just general use. So, but it won't hibernate, obviously. So you would probably have to do some customization on a laptop if you wanted it to hibernate, because you have to have it. The swap has to be the same size as your memory, of course. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to do here was to do a sudo git clone GitHub. Let's go ahead and download that. And we'll go ahead and run that now. I always like to know what my security position is before I just jump in and start using something. Let's just do an audit system and see what we got. Now, of course, it doesn't. This isn't one of its listed ones. Linus knows about more well-known ones, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. It also is looking for VM Lindsay, and that is not what, of course, Solus uses. We can look in the boot file and see, but Audit D is installed. But I probably, as it always comes out of the box, it doesn't have any rules. 63%. Let's just scroll up and we'll go down from there. Found accounts without passwords. Oops. That's not good. Yeah, that's normal. Yeah, that's normal. I always see these lock passwords. Yeah. Full var. Yeah. Kernel modules, doesn't like USB, doesn't like any of the FireWire storage. Check the DNS commit. Oh, this must be looking for DNSSEC now. Well, I guess I better finish my project. Saying I need a firewall. Yeah, I don't have one. There's some deleted files. There's some locked accounts. I saw that. Yeah, that's all normal. So the locked accounts is new. I've never seen that one before. It's telling me to install a malware scanner. Yeah, this one, I'm going to have to go find out what that is. Let's go look. Now, you have two of them here. You have a report in data format, or you can have the look at the text log. And all right, let's look for warn. Found accounts without a password. It's right above. Oops. Account without password. Root. That's not good. Let's take a look. Oh, so root is allowed to log in. Yep, it's definitely missing one. So can I escalate? No. So I guess that's good. I would have to give it my password, but so that's good. But let's see. The other one I want to find out is yeah, that's good. They fixed that bug. All right. So, but even so, I would really suggest you put a password on root. In fact, if you're going to have it ability to log in, yeah, you definitely want that. So let's just make sure that I have that now. Oops. Let's do that again. Yeah, so now it has one. All right. Let's see if it cleared that. Yeah, it cleared it. So, all right. So let's see what else we can find here. So in accessories, we have the older version of Nautilus. We already know that is there. They told us about that. And then, of course, we have our Budgie still mounted. No big deal there. We can go ahead and get rid of that. Text editor, and then I just installed Vim. Image viewer, LibreOffice Draw, and photos. That is a GNOME package that's been ported over to this. Firefox, HexChat, Thunderbird. Yep, they told us about that. And then LibreOffice. Since I did update this, I'm curious. 7.1. So yeah, it did update. Yeah, we don't need that. I don't need that. So we can look at, it is 7.103 now. Quite a bit newer than what they had said. So if there's your first update, go ahead and get rid of that. And that. Graphics, Internet, Office, other, onboard settings, printer settings, and then this would be your what you would be, if you're familiar with GNOME, this would be the same kind of thing where you're going in and setting up your network. If you have Bluetooth devices, if you want to change the background screen, and I definitely do, that is awfully bright. So we'll leave it there. What applications are allowed to send notifications, and you can either put on do not disturb or you can turn them off. And then in the applications window, you can go through each application and turn notifications on or off for those. So, as well as what file types it handles, I guess. Privacy. Oh, I have a camera? Really? I don't have any cameras on that machine. It's weird that it found one. It thinks it found one. Yeah, Thunderbolt's not on. File history, if I want to turn that on or not. And forever. until the drive fills up, right? Screen lock. And your online accounts. Computer name for sharing. Your sound settings. Of course, I don't have any sound on this because there's no sound card available. Power savings. I'll probably change that. Maybe 10 minutes is good. 5 minutes a little short. Then, yeah, you can set your size if you want. Primary or secondary buttons on your mouse. Your keyboard shortcuts, and it looks like a lot of them are disabled. So if some of those you want, you can customize how your keyboard shortcuts work. I don't have any printers. Removable media. Calibration of the monitor. If you're doing, even if you're doing video, that should be done so that your two monitors are in agreement if you have multiple monitors with what it should look like. Users, default apps, you can change which application is your web browser, your mail client, your calendar, all that stuff. Of course, there's probably not enough software out here loaded yet in order to do that, but that's okay. And then finally, the about, memory, 64. 3.38.3 is the GNOME version. The windowing system is X11. So they're not using Wayland. And then there's a link here for software updates if you want to go to that page, which we were in earlier. That's the same page. Yep. Okay. That's the only one that's been added is them. Your two multimedia players, one for video. And by the way, I think that also does MP3s as well, if I remember right. And then, of course, Rhythm Box. System settings. Software Center. It's the same place for your updates. And Budgie Desktop. So these are the like a tweak if you want to change the widgets or icons if you like different ones than the Papyrus. But of course there's not much on here, so you probably have to go down here to the software store and get the ones you want. We'll take a look at that in a bit as well. I noticed a couple of these don't, and it might be because there isn't any light themes on here, so it doesn't seem to be clicking on and off. But yeah, that might be just normal. And then you change the font. Raven, of course, is the widget menu, which comes out here. So you can add on widgets to this, like you can add the power strip. You'll probably have to pop it back out, which is down here. That's your settings, which just takes you back here, and your lock screen, and then this is your log out, so your exit. So if you want that on, you can turn it on, and if you don't want it on, you can turn it off. You can also reposition this to the left on the screen, so you can have it pop out to the left, or you can change it back to automatic, which defaults to the right, whichever you prefer. You can pretty much change this any way you want. And then you have your window settings, and then your bottom panel, which is down here. Now, one thing I noticed is, so the first thing is, this is the applet side over here. So I can add, let's go see what we can add here. How about a lock key? Well, let's see. You know, it'd be really nice, would be a workstation switcher. There we go. So let's add that. Now it's going to put that right in the middle of the screen. So it's right here in the center. So I can click on it, and then I can set that over to the right. Now, That's a little bit big, but I guess that's okay. So right now it's showing there's 2 apps in the first window manager, and then the second one doesn't. Yeah. So it just allows you to be able to click on it if you want. And if you don't want it, you can just select it, hit the trash button, and say goodbye. Simple as that. Your auto start is for applications that you want to come up when you log in. And so you can add those applications that you want to have come up with you, maybe your mail or something like that. Or your browser, whichever you prefer, or nothing if you work differently and you don't follow a routine in the morning or something like that. So that's all about that. Let's see what else we got. These are just the individual settings in the GNOME area, and then gparted. And then HTOP I put up. So gparted is a partition editor. Some people remove those. I don't. I'm always adding on drives to do different things, and so sometimes they do that. Be careful with this. You can wipe out your system with a partition editor because it won't care what it's overwriting until it's too late. Yeah, it'll be a good thing until it wasn't. It'll be a good idea until it wasn't. So over here in your utilities, you have a password manager. I wonder what this is. This looks like the one that comes with known. Yeah, password and keys. It's okay. I don't think I would use that one. I'd probably use, KP. Yeah, or something like that. Or yeah, one of the more robust ones. Screenshot, help, document viewer, all that stuff. So one thing down here we haven't talked about is this. So what if I want to get an application on this taskbar? I can click on it, and it allows me to favorite. So let's see. So it's selecting this. I right click, and I can favorite that to the taskbar. So now if I get rid of that, it'll remain. Okay, I brought it back up. We'll turn it off. It's gone. So now I'd have to go back to the menu to find it again. And one of the things I noticed that's different, you can also drag it down here to the taskbar as well. So now when I bring it, you'll notice that it pops open a copy of it. So yeah, you can do this. So that's kind of nice. And I don't think that works when you favorite it. Let me back all that out. Let's just go try that. Let's find out if that works or not. Let me go over here and we'll get rid of it. And this time we'll go and we'll just bring up the terminal emulator. And this time I will favorite it. Let's just see if I can open up multiples. No. So that's the difference. So if you drag it down, you can open up multiple copies of it. And if you don't, then all you can do is open and close it. Yeah, so there you go. So there is some other things here that you can do. So there in the Software Center, of course, you have your installation of different applications. So the reason why I wanted to show you this is because when I was in here, I noticed something that I haven't seen around in Linux. Well, I'm sure it's been around and you guys know about it, but it's not something I've seen in it, and because I wasn't looking for it. But so anyway, this would be where you would come if you wanted to add on additional widgets or fonts or themes for whatever particular desktop you've chosen, and the Budgie one is right here. So if you're looking for ways to customize the Budgie look and feel, you can do that here. If that's not if you pick something else, then of course you have the GNOME desktop, Mate desktop, and somewhere in here is Plasma. I think I saw it. Yeah, there it is, KDE right there. So you can go ahead and add some different features on for that as well. There's also the gaming side of things, but let's see what console emulators this. Yeah, okay. Not my thing, but I do game a little bit, but not enough that I would care much about that. Whether it had everything that I needed or not. Maybe, of course, if you're a gamer, you might be more discerning and say, no, that's not really got the things that I need to be able to do. So, as far as graphics are concerned, you have There's dark table. There's flame shot, color picker. Yeah, lots of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. So there's audio software, although personally I prefer Reaper, but each to his own. That of course is not free software. Let's see. There's also some multimedia stuff as well. Office software, ebooks and PDF. Let's see if Cozy's in here. Cozy's not here. So Cozy is an application that allows you to listen to audiobooks. If you do that a lot, and you notice that if you try to do that in a MP3 player, then the problem you have with that is that, well, assuming that you can find something that isn't DRM protected, the problem with that is that the minute you leave the MP3 player, you lose your place. Well, Cozy will allow you to keep your place, and so it'll start back up where you left off, which I like that one. That's kind of a nice little deal. Office software, math software, science software, financial, text editors. Now this is, so that was the place where I kind of found, I think this is where I saw it. Yeah, Viz. I might have to do a video on this. So let me just give you a brief rundown here. So VI came from Berkeley, BSD Unix, and that made its way into Unix, and then it was translated and rewritten for Linux, and that has several different flavors. There's VI itself for Linux, which is the original, and then Vim, which is added on some pieces to make things supposedly easier. However, any of those editors are all line editors, and they really missed the boat. So, and Viz is a merger between VI. So if you're familiar with VI command structures, you can use that information and still be able to edit like you always have in Viz. But it also includes SAM, which came from Plan 9. And SAM is a structural regular expression editor, and it does not care about lines. So when you are doing things like replacement, you can control not just by line, but you can control based on column, based on what is in the pattern. So if you're looking to replace like a specific thing that only occurs between an if-then block, then you can have Viz do that. And there's a lot of different things about that really stretch what editors can do. So I might do a video on that. It is an interesting approach to doing development, but that's kind of nerdy, and I probably lost about half of you. So my apologies. I'll back out, but I did want to point that out. But anyway, back to looking at some of the capabilities here. So yeah, I think I've spent enough time on that. These are all the languages, tools, and libraries for Python and Ruby and C and C++ and Rust and blah, blah, blah. The security software, there are cryptographic utilities, and these are things that allow you to encrypt your drives, encrypt your network. Yeah, all the stuff that you need to do certs. Then there's some security applications like KeyPass, Yubico. So if you have a Yubico key, you can tie that into your login. So you have a two-factor, multi-factor login. And then you have some security utilities here, which allow you to do some other things. So these are basic libraries that extend the functionality. So anyway, and then system software. So you have kernel drivers. So if you're looking for, maybe you have some Broadcom Wi-Fi card that you can't find a driver to make it work, you might check here. There's also the Nvidia drivers for the Nvidia graphics drivers, and of course all that stuff. And if you want to also look at system utilities, there's Ansible, AutoFS, Conky. So if those things interest you, that's where you'll find them. Anyway, I think I don't want to get too nerdy this time around. I've probably gone beyond my beyond where I should have gone. So yeah. Anyway, let me just sum up this. So I think Solus 4.2 is another candidate to take a look at for the desktop. one of the things I just noticed that Linus was checking for, as I just noticed in their DNS, full DNS sec for the DNS. So it looks like my migration to Unbound is none too soon. So yeah, it is criticizing that the DNS does not have DNS sec turned on fully. I can do that for Bind 9. It's just a real pain to do it. It's not fun, but security. Nobody ever said security was fun. Anyway, hope to see you all again real soon. Please like and subscribe, and bye for now.